The following production is produced by the State University of New York College at Oneonta.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY Oneonta. Hard to believe, but we're already into the winter season as we're going to start rolling along here. And tonight we've invited in men's and women's basketball coaches Daphne Thompson and Vince Medici to talk about their upcoming seasons. So please stay tuned after the break, and I'll be joined by tonight's first guest, Daphne Thompson.
What makes D3 special is the ability to participate in my team and within the broader community.
The perfect ending to a perfect season.
Being a D3 student athlete has completely expanded my life.
I learned how to lead. I really found a voice.
What time is it?
It's more about the experience rather than just a sport itself.
Without the experience of being a Division III student athlete, I wouldn't be the person who I am today.
NCAA Division III. Discover, develop, dedicate.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is head women's basketball coach Daphne Thompson. Welcome back to the show, Daphne.
Hello, Jeff.
Hard to believe it's another year.
No.
No?
Always looking forward to this
Well,
time
no,
of the
that's
year,
good. And I was just going to, my first question is what kind of, how do you look forward to the season with the anticipation and does it really start the day after you're finished the last season, or how do you prepare for an upcoming season?
Well, we don't get that luxury of having a second season like all the other sports with their non-traditional.
Right.
So you have a little lull afterwards because there's so much to finish up with recruiting for the next class. But I think usually you get going right away, not maybe a month later. You're starting to think about what are you going to do.
Well, because when
next
your
year.
season ends, of course, that's mostly, if you're not, last year we just missed we think
Correct.
we should have made the NCAA
Absolutely.
tournament. 21-7, super season. So for you, the season ended probably earlier than you would have expected. But that's also when the high school tournaments are going on, so
Correct.
now you get a chance to go out and watch some of those high school tournaments. And so how long does it take up the whole month of March?
Well, I think
April?
that March would be a very depressing month. The only thing that keeps me sane in March is the fact that there is March Madness and there's lots of basketball to watch, and the fact that my daughter's birthday is in March. So those are the only things that really March, because usually I'm in a depressed state because it's over. So.
Yeah. Now, when you start preparing and planning for your next year, now this year you brought in two players, two very good players.
Very excited.
Front court players, mostly.
Both of them.
How do you go about your recruiting strategy and maybe identifying the ones that you will bring in or for your recruiting class?
Well, I think most of that has to do with the positions that you're going to lose.
Yeah.
I think those are critical elements, looking not just that year but the following year too. So you're looking at your junior and your senior year class and thinking ahead as to what you're going to need to fill and what you're going to need to prepare, because it's very challenging to come in and be able to be one of those really stellar athletes in that first year. So you want to try and build so that they have that first year to really get acclimated and be able to be that stellar player the next year. So.
Now, why don't we talk about the two players that we brought in? Two very outstanding
Yeah, we're
players.
excited. We have Sarah Longto and Caitlin Ponesi. They're both from downstate. One's from Kingston, the other Wallkill. One's Class A, one's Class AA. The Class AA was first team all section, and the single A was player of the year in the section. So we're very excited. They have a lot of experience, played on really quality AAU teams. And so far, they really haven't missed a beat in practice. They're just catching on and picking up, and they're doing a great job.
Now, when you're out recruiting and watching these players, because, of course, you have a system that you want to play.
Correct.
Is that a big part of how you recruit?
It is, if you can. At
Yeah.
Division III, you don't really have the luxury that some of the other divisions do, but you are looking for, I think, mostly players who seem to be able to assimilate and take on different roles and be able to do more than just, back to the basket. They're both back to the basket players, but both of them are capable of doing other things. Like Caitlin Ponesi from Wallkill, she played in a flex offense. So she may be a back to the basket strong, really solid post player, but she had to step out and be able to make a pass and be able to hit that elbow jumper. So she has a lot of opportunity to be able to do more than just sit in the post. Okay. And Sarah is, you know, I mean, last year was her first year having to kind of really take on a different role because she played with her junior year. She had all this talent around her that were seniors that she really was just a passer, a defender, and a rebounder. She didn't even have to score. So she took on a new element of trying to score last year, which was exciting to watch her go through her senior year. But, you know, all those other pieces are really critical when you start playing at the college level. So she clearly rebounds well, and she plays good defense. So, well, you'll see through the season, I think she'll score more as the season progresses.
Okay. The defensive part I know is important for us, the way we like to you know, play defense. Now, last year you actually brought in a large class, but mostly kind of what we'd say the guard area. So now you're hoping those two classes will fit together. I mean, how you know, the new players coming in, we of course have Samantha Skotek and Madison Slagle, Ashley Wellitalk, I mean, veteran players.
Yeah.
You know, how do you bring them into the mix now? We got a lot of experience with those sophomores, even though they are sophomores. So what are you looking for from them this year?
Well, we've actually moved one of the sophomores to the 2 guard, and so moved one of the guards to back to a point guard. So we've kind of made some changes in positioning to try to be a little more to fill in the void of, you know, Becca Bucci leaving, playing 30 minutes a game. We're just trying to get them acclimated. I think they're going to be able to pick up the slack and be fine, but it's still going to take some time. So we don't have a lot of time because we're going to face some real challenges right off the bat. But I think it's going to be defensively a much more collective effort as opposed to last year when we had 2 stellar defenders in Becca and Mary Kate.
Yeah.
You know, we were able to just say, okay, we always knew Becca was taking the best guard, and we always knew Mary Kate was taking the best post. So that was kind of, those 2 pieces were out of the equation. So it'll be more of a team defensive effort this year. Okay. So we'll see how it goes.
So the newcomers won't have to rely too much on having to say, oh, geez, I got to play, you know, that best player. So now as we get into this season, when this show airs, we actually open up a little earlier this year. We're going to be at home against Western Connecticut State, who's a very good team out of the Little East Conference. Why don't you talk about that early season schedule for us and what we anticipate?
We do open up next Tuesday against a team that was in the NCAA tournament, went to the 2nd round. They graduate their 3 top scorers, but they are state school, and I look for them to be, I know the coach well. I competed against her when she was the coach at RPI, so I know a little bit about how the style of play. She's going to, you know, she's going to come with man-to-man, and she's going to be all up in your shorts, so you better be prepared. And they've been a very good team the last probably 4 or 5 years that she's been there. After that, we roll right into Saturday playing in the Keene tournament with Lewis and Clark, who went to the NCAA tournament last year as a top 25 team. This year, they have 2 freshmen that are 6'3", so you know they're going to be a big challenge for us. But it'll be exciting for us to see what we're really made of right up off the get-go. So
now, because we, you know, of course, we play some SUNYAC games in the early season before the break. What does the SUNYAC conference look like this year?
It's going to be interesting. You know, Geneseo graduating 3 starters, has their, you know, point guard back who is a lot of experience. Senior are going to really, I think they'll still be, you know, right there in the mix because of her. Cortland, they lost 2 players, but from what I understand, they have a couple coming in that I know, and they return their, you know, the nucleus, so they'll be right there contending. New Paltz didn't graduate anybody, so they're going to be really strong. And then you have Buff State, who was kind of pushing at the end, and they only graduated 1, and I know they got a transfer from Madai, who was their best player. So they're going to be really interesting. So I think the conference is going to be exciting. I'm hoping that early on we do well in all of our opening games, so we can start to really demonstrate to the outsiders that SUNYAC is a real strong, you know, I don't think we get that recognition as a strong conference. So I'd like to see us maybe do well in the beginning and really set a tone for the rest of the year.
Well, I think that's, like you said, I mean, the SUNYAC has been kind of a top-heavy conference for a while with us in Cortland and, you know, Geneseo, Brockport. I mean, you know, a couple teams in and out every year, but it seems to be kind of top-heavy. But now it seems like it's going a little deeper. I mean, like you said, Buffalo State last year came out of really, I mean, I don't think anyone expected them to be as good as they were in the conference, and they upset some teams. And
she's doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, she seems like she's got the kids that, you know, would come and play her style of play, which is kind of an up-tempo. And so now as we go forward, you know, into the second part of the season, we go to Florida.
We are going to go to Florida.
And we're going to play a neutral site game against Gwen and Mercy.
And they, last year, just lost in their conference championship as well think they were close to being similar record to us, and they won their ECAC tournament down there. So it'll be a good challenge for us when we go to Florida.
Now, do you think having, I mean, obviously with some of the veterans we have coming back, I mean, obviously Sam and Madison have been four-year starters for us, and they've been tremendous players. For them, the challenge is now to get to the NCAA tournament, try to lead the team a little bit. Do you think they feel pressure as seniors?
I think there's always pressure as a senior. Yeah. I don't really think that as a senior that doesn't go. That it's kind of with the territory. Right. It is your last year, so that's your last chance. So I think no matter what, the seniors have that kind of pressure. I think in us not meeting that goal last year, I think there's maybe a little bit more of where they really have that missed out taste in their mouth, and I think that will help. Great leadership. Yeah. I mean, some of the things that have already gone on in the first few weeks and what they're doing to prepare these other athletes to compete, they're doing a great job. Now, I know that leadership is a big part of what you try to instill in our athletes, and you talk a lot about it. As leaders, Samantha and Madison and Ashley, our three seniors, I mean, do you see them as being people that are... They're really kind of an extension of me. They believe in what the program's about. They have a real sense of trust, which, that's what makes it roll. I mean, if you really trust your coach, you're willing to do more than the average player. Right. So, and them sending that message to the rest of them is really making a big difference. I mean, we have 11 returners. Yep. So they all have played for me. And so they all have, but their voice is really, really present, and I think that's really helping. Now, with 11 returning players, do you feel that each year you can turn it up a notch as far as expectations? No, I mean as far as your expectations of them and having them meet those challenges? I think that each year as a coach, now it's all players that I've had a chance to put together. It makes a big difference. They got to sit and listen to my speech as a recruit, and they understand what we're trying to build for. I think there's a challenge in just, everybody wants to play. Right. And right now, I mean, with 11 returners and 2 really quality freshmen, I have 13 players who really want to get on the court. Right. And there's not enough minutes to get all of them on the court. So our practices are extremely competitive, and I think that's practices go well when people want to play, you know, and so they don't drag. They don't drag on. They get out, they compete, and it's rewarding. Right, so it's been a pretty healthy competition for everybody. And of course, even in the last couple of years, I mean, we do run quite a few players in and out of the game, maybe to change tempo, defense, and stuff like that. It seemed like it's worked. I mean, is that strategy? Well, I kind of took about 2 years ago, took a little look at some of the top, 16 teams in the country at the end of the season and seeing what they're doing. And if you were to take a look, our regional teams that are playing at the end of the season are playing 10 players. They're maybe have 1 or 2 kids that are playing 30 minutes or more, but they're playing, I mean, if you look at ours in the last 2 years, we're playing 10 players 10 minutes or more, and that's what they're doing. So I think that, when you start playing Friday, Saturday, you have an injury to a key position, but you have that reserve that's just going to step in with, and it's just going to be a smooth transition. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a long season. Injury's going to happen, and if you have the ability to be able to rely on other people and not have to go, oh, now what are we going to do? I think it makes a big difference. Right, now playing that many players, they must take a little more ownership too, saying, hey, you know what, I might be needed tonight to guard someone because, like you said, maybe if Becca got hurt last year or something like that, which, she didn't. But I know. You know what I mean? But in that situation. And it was like the year before when Sarah played so many minutes and we had no reserve and she was able to go that whole time. I mean, it's nice to know that you have that reserve who's going to be able to step in and make a difference. And there's pressure for kids to compete, and I think that's good. Right. And so as we build our team and build our program, we're moving along here the last 4 or 5 years, and certainly has gone in a great direction. I mean, we've had 4 20-win seasons out of the last 5 years, and well, actually, we've had 3 and 4. This is only my 5th. Okay, so we have 78 wins in 4 years, which ties a record last year. So it's pretty exciting. And now, so those seniors really feel like we want to try and keep this going, and we really deserve to be here, and we've worked hard for it. Yes, well, I mean. That's exciting, right? Yeah, I mean, it's certainly watching them play, certainly over the 4 years with Samantha and Madison and Ashley. I mean, they've certainly been great players for us. And we hope it all comes together for you this year. And this year we hope that we do get in the NCAA tournament. And
we wish you good luck.
Well, thank you.
All right, and thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
by
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, no
All
problem.
right, well, I'd like to thank head women's basketball coach Daphne Thompson for coming by tonight. And after the break, I'll be joined by men's basketball coach Vince Medici.
Danny, thank you for coming. I've been meaning to talk to you for a while. It's about us. I can't be with you any longer. I know you really like me, and I like you too, but it's just too much for me. It's like you always have to be around me. Like when I ask if you want to go for a walk with me, you get so overexcited. Maybe it was a bad idea to move in together. It's my fault, not yours. I was just so excited to be with you, I didn't realize I wasn't ready. You're a good dog. I know you'll find someone great.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is head men's basketball coach Vince Medici. Welcome back to the show, Vince.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Had Daphne on earlier talking about new season, new year. What kind of excitement is it for you?
Youth.
Youth?
A lot of youth on our team.
Yeah.
Really young, a lot of inexperience, but talented.
Right.
So we're excited.
Do you think overall we might be a little, maybe a little deeper?
I think we're clearly deeper than last year, yes. I really believe that. We're going to probably play 10 guys a game and not really drop off much from the starters to the guys coming off the bench.
Oh, which is important now. And actually that was something that Daphne and I talked about. How many players do you play during a game, you know, and you kind of run them in and out? How important is it to play that many players in any one game?
Well, I think this year, because the talent is so equal across the board, just having the 10 guys being able to go out and not drop off play is real important. You know, I think it's going to keep us in games. You know, when maybe last year when we subbed, it wasn't that same thing. So,
right.
You know, we're thinking 10 of the 15 guys will be playing each game in some shape or form.
Right. Now, we graduated 5 seniors from last year's team,
Yeah.
4 of them that were part of our NCAA team.
Yes.
This year we returned 2 juniors that were part of our NCAA
Yeah.
team, right? Cameron and Dan.
And Dan, yeah.
Why don't you talk about a little bit, because they're essentially going to be the leaders of our team this year.
They
as
are
juniors.
As juniors, and they're our captains, and
Yeah.
so far they've done an outstanding job. They played a lot of minutes last year, so they're the 2 people on the team that have all that experience.
Right.
And so our inside game we're very excited about with them coming back, and they've been good leaders with the young guys about preseason workouts and stuff, and in practice every day. They clearly are the 2 hardest workers on the floor. So hopefully that will trickle down to the younger kids.
Right. Now, do you see them as more leader by example or vocal? I mean, the 2 personalities, what are they like?
Yeah, they're actually quiet kids, per se. So they're a lot lead by example. But in practice, they become more verbal, you know, trying to get the kids motivated and staying on top of them and getting them to places they need to be.
You feel like that might be because they're in their element? I mean, we're playing basketball. This is what we're supposed to be doing. So maybe their personality, their competitive personality comes forward?
I think by being on the NCAA team, they saw what it took to get there, and you know they had a chance. Cam played a little bit that year until he got sick in February. But I think by witnessing that and then seeing how last year went and knowing which one was the success, which one wasn't, I think they learned a lot from that. And I think they bring it to the court and they understand how important it is to be a real positive leader.
Right. Now, because we talked to Daphne as well about some of the senior leaders she has on her team now. You're in a different boat with 2 juniors, really. Do you think that what kind of pressure do you think they feel to perform, making sure things are going okay?
I'm sure they feel a lot of pressure. You know,
Yeah.
I think anytime you're put in that leadership role, and you know, with a lot of young people, there's a lot of unanswered questions. So I think they're certainly probably concerned about it. But just these 2 young men are just great students, great people, just workaholics. And I just think that, you know, this is what they've been meant to be years ago, to become leaders.
Right. Now, they, like you definitely mentioned that they are good students because they are 2 very good students in the classroom. In your overall picture, because I know how important it is to our entire department, and you know, one of the things when you were hired as basketball coach, that was one of the things that wasn't going on in our men's basketball program. How important is it to bring all that together academically with all the basketball stuff that they do?
Well, academics is first and foremost, and it's I've always taken that initiative, even when I was at Hudson Valley, about how important it was to graduate my students in a timely fashion, and we've done that here. We've graduated everyone that we've had that gone through our program, so we're excited about that. What it has turned into is the students now that we're getting are better prepared to go to college, and it seems like they're doing a much better job in the classroom, which I think will eventually lead to success on the court, because I think they do go hand in hand. Right, because they're a little smarter anyway, and then things that you're trying to instill in them, work ethic and that kind of stuff, I mean, it would just come a little easier. Definitely. Yeah. Now, some of the newcomers, who are we looking for this year? Some of the other names. Well, I think our sophomore class is good. I think they're talented. They didn't get a lot of minutes last year. I thought they were going to be more prepared as freshmen than they were. This year, in the offseason, they worked very hard, and you can see it in the gym. But guys like Dan Lee and Kevin Donahue and Chris Hooks are obviously three sophomores that I think that are going to make a difference in our play. Nick Sarchiato has really improved his game, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this year as well. Right. He was like a little there's a couple games there where he was playing, come off the bench, and he was like spark plug. Like, I mean, is that kind of energy he brings into the game? Yes, and he's really improved his game. I think he realized, sometimes kids are not sure how good they can be until you challenge them. And I think in the offseason he really worked hard, and you can see it in his game that, he's going to make a mark this year. I think he's going to show a lot of people aren't going to know about him, right? Because he didn't play that much last year off the bench here and there. Right. So we're excited about how he's improved over the offseason. Now, what about freshman transfers? Well, we have a center transfer from Farmingdale, Albert Skrelji, who hadn't played in a year, so it's going to take him some time. But I think he shows that he has tons of offensive ability for us, and I think it'll help us inside eventually as he gets his game back. Our other two freshmen are Frankie Kelly, who will start at our point guard position, who's very good, from Kennedy Catholic, and Lawrence Brink from out in the Tioga area, who's I think he has an upside. I think he's going to be very good years down the road. Now, what's it like to try and ask a freshman as a point guard, Frankie? Let's talk a little bit about Frankie. I mean, obviously he's got some skills and he's going to be a good player for us. What's that like to kind of hand it over to a first-year player and say, okay, you got to make it go? Yeah. Well, 4 years ago we did it with Shane Gillette, and it worked. We had our ups and downs, and it turned out real well for us. And I think Frankie's in the same boat. He's a little more skilled scoring the ball. Okay. So it gives us another option on the floor. He was coached in high school by his father, and he was bred to be a point guard. So, he's been yelled at. He's had all those pressures all through high school. So, I thought he's handled it real well in the first scrimmage. I thought he did pretty well. Some unforced, turnovers that, we'll correct as we go. Right. But I think his future is really bright here. Now, every year, obviously, you bring new players into the program. What's it take? What's it like to mix them into the bigger group? It's always a challenge. You tell the kids that from March to October, that's when you become better players, and then when October comes, it's our coach's job to make you a better team. They're so young that this year has been okay to they play very well together. They share the ball. No one really takes initiative to be the guy, so they're looking for the open guy. So it's formulating into, I think, a real balanced team when it comes to scoring. I don't know if we'll be everybody in the 20s. I think hopefully if we can get 5 to average doubles, I think we're in a good boat, and I think it'll be a different 5 each game. I don't think it'll be the same 5 guys. Right, which again goes back to your, you think we're going to be a little deeper in all the positions, shooting. I mean, is there any one position, you're hoping will maybe lead us a little bit more than one? I just hope we shoot the ball better than we did last year from the perimeter. We didn't shoot the 3 very well last year, and I think that really cost us some games, some close games. Not that I want to shoot 100 threes, but I know it's a part of the game now that's important. Right. And I think our inside game has gotten better with Dan and Cam and Ryan Clark as well, who was a medical redshirt last year, has really played very well so far. Now, ask Daphne this question: when you're out recruiting, you have a style that you want to play. Do you try to fit the kids into your style, or do you just try and say, this kid can help us anyway? I mean, we'll get it to work. Well, first and foremost, you do look for the kid that can fit into your program. Right. But some of those times, those kids are going Division II and I, so you got to kind of look around. Sometimes take the next best player that you think that first of all, has a passion to play, because we have so little time to work with our kids, October 15th till, the season ends, and then we can't be in the gym again with them. It's kind of difficult. So you're looking for kids that have a passion that during that time, March to October, will really, do the workouts you ask them to do, lift the weights and do those kind of things. So you're looking for those kind of kids now.
Right. And do you think those kids in Division III, because obviously we're not giving scholarships, we're not on television, or, you know what I mean, like the whole big rah-rah that goes with Division I, it's really more of a commitment level. You think maybe in Division III?
No doubt about it.
Where they're, you want to try and find those kids that maybe they're okay as a freshman, but if they're willing to do the work and, hopefully they will get better and start to contribute.
Yeah, I think each year it depends on who you're losing. Like, we don't have any seniors, so we're not really losing anyone. So we're looking for people that have that potential that, okay, they don't have to come in and contribute as a freshman, but by their sophomore year be ready to play. So you can look for kids that have all that potential that you say, wow, we work with this person, he should be good by his sophomore year. So, this year we're looking for kids with that kind of ability.
Right. Now, season. We open up in a couple, we have a tournament. We're going down to Franklin and Marshall. Talk a little bit about the early season schedule.
It's difficult, and some, I talk to other coaches saying, you got such a young team, maybe you should have went a little easy or whatever. I've always been a believer, schedule the toughest teams you can find, and that'll prepare you for your conference. And we're playing Keene University down there. They went to the NCAAs last year. They only graduated one person, so they're going to be very talented. And then based on winning and losing, I don't know much about Newman, who's playing Franklin and Marshall, but we'll get a chance to see him while we're down there. But Franklin and Marshall, based on what poll you look at, are usually in the top 10, top 20 every year, which they are again this year.
Yeah, that's a team we played in the NCAA tournament 2 years ago, and they were a very good team.
They're very good. We lost by 13, and it was a good game. We were in it, and I knew how good the program is. The coach has over 800 wins or something ridiculous like that. So, what better place to get better?
Yeah. Now, how do we see the SUNY shaking out this year?
It's going to be so tough. There's 10 teams. 8 teams have everybody back from last year. 2 of the teams are ranked in the top 20 in the country. Oswego and Buff State.
Wow.
Buff State went to the Sweet 16 last year. Last year playing those same teams, we were 8 and 10. The only team we didn't split with was Plattsburgh. They graduated everybody. So Plattsburgh and ourselves graduated quite a bit in the last 2 years. The other 8 teams, everybody back. So I think it's going to be a battle. These teams are very good.
Right. Now the SUNY men's basketball probably in the last, I would say, probably 4 or 5 years has gone a little deeper, because I talked to Daphne about how the women's is now starting to get a little deeper.
Sure.
It's not so top heavy anymore. What does that do for the conference and do for us on a national level as far as competitive schedule?
Well, the last 4 years we've had 2 teams get to the NCAAs, and then I think that's a great tribute to our conference.
Right.
And that's why in the conference you could be 8 and 10 and still finish 4th. That's how competitive it is. So I just think it's a great conference. I think it gets more respect every year from the kids that we're having. We're getting more All-Americans. We have the Burridge kid from Oswego is a preseason All-American, and I'm sure Buff State by the end of the year, those 2 guards they have could be up there as well. So, which makes it great, because every day you got to be prepared. Every day you're going to play a tough team, and which makes it fun.
As we go out here, one thing you're hoping for this year?
I think, it's hard to say, well, we want to be at this record. We want to get better each game. I'd love to be, if we look at we'd be 500 at the end of this year would be a great, I think a great stepping stone into next year. We're not losing anybody, and bringing in some very talented kids along with the group we have. So I think that's what you look at. You certainly want to get into the playoffs. I mean, that's certainly a goal. If we could do that, that would be super.
Because anything can happen, we know.
SUNY
number 8 beats 1.
It does, and that's how close the conference is, from top to bottom.
Well, we certainly want to thank you for coming by tonight, and we wish you the best of luck with your entire season, and hope everybody stays healthy.
Yes, we hope so.
All right, well, thanks for coming by, Vince.
Thanks, Geoff.
Well, I'd like to thank both my guests tonight, Vince Medici and Daphne Thompson, to talk a little basketball, and we hope that you'll follow them all season long on our website. We will have live stats and as many webcasts as we can this year. So keep following us online at www.oneontaathletics.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Inside Red Dragon Sports.